one of the best storytellers in the country. She's played all over the country doing her storytelling. She's appeared on at the Moth. You're going to love her. Please welcome Michele Carlo.
I'm telling a storyteller. If I was a stand-up comic, I'd know how to work a mic. So I've always been the kind of person that if you tell me I can't do something, I say, yeah, watch me. When I was a teenager, my dream was to be an artist, and my dream school was the School of Visual Arts. I grew up here in New York City. And I tried, and I failed, and I tried, and I failed, and I tried to get in, and I failed, and I tried again. And I finally got in. The year I turned 21, that's the year when most people are choosing their final major. I decided to become a performer at the age of 35. That's the age most sane people give it up. So when my husband of 14 years told me he no longer wanted to be married, I was sure I could change his mind. I mean, come on, hadn't we spent 14 years living and loving and creating art together? But I had to realize that sometimes you can't put a comma where the universe put a period. And there were days that I would get to work and not remember getting up, getting dressed, or how I got there. There were nights that I would sit at home alone on my kitchen floor with my 2 cats and howl. And my friends saw how much pain I was in, and I have the best friends in the world. They tried their best to encourage me, and they said, Michele, you don't have to be alone. Just sign up for OK.Q.E.D. Now, there are a couple of things that you should know about me. One is that when I was a tween, I drove my poor Puerto Rican parents crazy because they thought I was going to go to jail because I got arrested for writing graffiti. I was walking in the underground layups in the tunnel of the little spray paint cans. Yeah, little vandal. I also, for many years, hosted many a rowdy burlesque show. Yes, it was fun. But somehow I did not have the estómago or the cojones for online dating. I mean, whatever happened to getting trashed and just taking someone home? Of course, the last time I had done that was 1990. And I married him. And then there was another conspiracy going on against me that rest of that year, because every time I turned on the television, the radio, or went online, or opened up a magazine, yet I saw yet another article about the invisible woman, and that how now that I was considered a woman of a certain age, the bloom was now off my rose and rot had now begun. And at this age, statistically, I was more likely to be struck by lightning than again by love at first, last, or any sight. But being the kind of person who thinks no means find another way, doesn't apply to me, I said, yeah, watch me. And then after the fling, the rebound, and the mistake, and the mistake, and the Gloria Jesus, the mistake, I decided that maybe it was time for me to accept the fact that maybe I was just entering a new phase of my life. One that I semi-jokingly called manopause. And for want of something to do, I decided I was going to write a book. I've been telling stories for years, and people said, when are you going to write a book? And I was just like, well, I don't know. And I was like, all right, why don't I write one now? I mean, it's not like I had anybody in my life anymore around to tell me what I could or couldn't do. So I did. Writing a book takes time. I mean, you got to come up with a proposal, you got to do sample chapters, you got to find an agent, you got to find a publisher. But I did. And when the manuscript was almost done, I decided to take a break and go for a walk. Some time had passed. A couple of years had passed. And I don't know if any of you familiar with Brooklyn? the south end of Prospect Park. Okay, that's kind of near where I live, and I decided so I take a walk past there, and it was a day kind of like today, one of those last semi-cold days right before the spring jumps in and takes hold. And I'm walking into the park, and there's this grove of magnolia trees at the entrance. And I stopped because I could just feel this energy coming out from these trees. And I looked at them, and every single branch of every single tree was laden, filled by these fat, green buds. You could just see the little green hairs quivering on them as they tried to constrain the life force, the energy of these pink, creamy, fragrant blossoms that were just waiting, yearning to burst out naked and free into the breeze. And this sight just made this long, dormant sap start rising up in me as well. And I stood there, and I said to these trees out loud, I know how you feel. I want to be pollinated. And then I turned around, and the really good-looking, age-appropriate guy with the really good-looking, age-appropriate dog looked at me, slack-jawed, open-mouthed, and burst into the park, never to be seen again. And I slunk back home to my apartment, and I sat on my kitchen floor again with my 2 cats. And I howled some more, because now nearly 2 years had gone by since, as the good book put it, I had last known a man. And now I was even more of a woman of a certain age. And statistically, I was more likely to be mauled by a tiger than ever again feel the caress of another lover. But then, a few weeks later, the unthinkable, the unimaginable, the unlikely, and the unexpected thing happened. On one Monday night at 11 o'clock in the evening, a redhead walked into the old Bowery Poetry Club on the Lower East Side. 3.5 hours later, walked out. Not alone. The next morning, I woke up with a man in my bed. And then I remembered his name was Larry. Oh, God! Oh, the worst name in the world! How could I sleep with a guy named Larry? And then, Larry woke up, and we're talking, and he lives in Queens. He actually lived at the border of Long Island City and Astoria, and he wasn't familiar with my part of Brooklyn at all. So I had to walk with Larry to like 15 blocks to the Arch, because I was like so hungover, I didn't realize there was a stop closer. So we're walking to the Archway, and he keeps trying to hold my hand, and I don't let him, and he keeps trying to hold my hand, and I don't let him, because how could this ever be anything more than just a one-night stand? I mean, hadn't I broken every single dating rule and every single dating book known to womankind? And besides, how old were we? And when we got to the train, Larry goes down to the subway, going, I'll call you, bye. And I wave back, bye, yeah, right. But then a couple of days later, he did call. And then we went on a real first date, and then a second, and then I caught him sneaking Tic Tacs into his mouth right before he went to kiss me. And this is when I realized, oh, wow, he's nervous too. And the more I got to know Larry, the more I began to realize that we had been on these parallel paths in our lives for the past 20 years, and only now, finally, found ourselves, after all this circling, still together in the same place. Well, at the end of next month, April 27th to be exact, it's going to be 10 years. Wow! Since the man I now call Papi, he likes it. The man I now call Papi and I have been together, and sometimes I wonder by what quirk of fate did I miss the destiny that statistically I was supposed to have. That at my age, I was just supposed to have my toto shrivel up, and I was just supposed to like slink away and be never to be heard of again. And I don't know, maybe just like those magnolia trees, I was waiting just for the right breeze to come along. Or maybe I'm just the kind of person who thinks no means find another way. Thank you, guys.